Listen, we don't all have infinite budgets for buying board games. Maybe you can only buy a few a month. Maybe you can only buy one a month. Maybe you can afford expansions, maybe you can't. Maybe you can afford upgraded components, maybe you can't. But in this probably ongoing series, we're going to talk about some ways to board game on a budget. Specifically, upgrading your games on a budget. Odds are, if you have a tight budget, you probably don't want to watch like a 30-minute video either. So I'm going to try to make these smaller. So we're just going to focus on one type of upgrade you can get that's pretty cheap. And you might have already seen it behind me. And that is something that are generally called fish gems. They're little glass, I don't think they're actually fully glass, but either way, they're little glass colored gems. You can often buy them in single colors, often blue and green or white, I've found. So you might be able to buy a bag of 30 of them or something like that, or you can get mixed color ones. Either way, these things are generally, for a fairly large bag of them, gonna cost you $1 or $2. And unlike upgraded components for a lot of games, these are a little more generic. They're honestly pretty nice. I use these as enemies in D&D a lot if there's like a bunch of goblins or something. But the thing is, though they're not extremely nice, they are nicer than whatever component you're probably upgrading. Maybe you have like little cubes that you don't like, so you replace each of the colored cubes with one of these colored gems. You know, they're a little heavier, they have a better feel in your hand. But maybe you're using them to upgrade a game that doesn't even have this kind of component. Maybe you need to track how much damage has been dealt to things and you don't have anything to do it. Well, having these is handy for that. You can track damage pretty easily with these. Maybe you're playing something like Evolution or Evolution's Oceans, and you basically need to track what can and can't be attacked each round or something along those lines. Rather than making people go through it every time this can or can't be attacked, they can simply put a little token down, and the tokens could mean particular things. Maybe you just dictate that blue means it can only be attacked like by climbing or whatever. And yes, of course, there are cards, but these are, you know, they're not flat. They come off the table a little bit, they're colorful, and are a little easier to keep track of than just having to look and try to read every card every people have. And often you can find these in different kinds of shapes too. Like there's these ones that have more of a crystal kind of look to them. These would make great upgrades for a lot of games. Maybe the ones that give you little tiny crystals that are supposed to be like your, you know, mining resources. Well, these are bigger ones, so, you know, bigger's better. I could sit here going through a lot of different games where these would come in handy, but I mean, the point is that they come in handy a lot. If you have, like I do, a bowl of these nearby, no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing a role-playing game, whether you're playing a board game, whether you are doing some sort of an activity where suddenly you need to say, oh, we have to figure out who's going to get this. Don't have a dice around? Well, I'm going to put 4 different colors in my hand. Everyone pick a color. And, oh, green one. You know, having something like this around is just handy in general when it comes to gaming. And again, these are $1 or $2. This entire bowl full that probably has, I'm going to guess, over 100, cost me $10 or less. If you happen to have a fish tank, as I mentioned before, these are usually called fish gems, and that's because they're used to decorate a fish tank. So, you know, drain your fish tank, put the fish into some glasses, and steal these from the fish tank. Put the fish back in afterwards, of course, but give them something else as a decoration, because these are yours now. And again, I don't want to get too deep into this, but if you go to like your local dollar store or craft store, you can often find a lot of stuff like this for very cheap. You might even find little wooden animal shapes that you could use to replace the cubes that are supposed to be animals in certain games. And unlike when you get custom components from an online store or from the company themselves that makes that game, those will usually cost at least $6 or $7 for the custom pieces, usually a lot more. Whereas things like this cost next to nothing. Takes a little bit more effort to find them sometimes, but you'd be surprised if you go to those stores just what might come along. And in my opinion, the best part is that if you ever find a game that you found online and it's semi-easily replicatable, These are great for that because almost every game has some sort of a resource or a token or something that you need to track. And having something like this around makes it so you can proxy up a game pretty easy, play it a couple times, figure out if you like it, and then buy the real game. So make sure to support game manufacturers, game designers, game publishers. Buy board games. But don't buy their upgraded components when you can just use cheaper alternatives, unless you want to. I think when it comes to upgrading as well, you really want to think about how much use this upgrade is going to have to you. Are you going to play this game a ton? Then honestly, spending $10 on an upgrade that makes cool pieces and people will like it and be impressed whenever they play the game, awesome. If you're going to play the game over the course of 10 years, you're going to play it like 100 times, definitely. Upgrade the heck out of your game. If you just bought the game and you're not quite sure, maybe you even order the game and the extra like custom components along with it, you don't know that you're really going to enjoy that game. Not to rip on Scythe, whatever it's called. The game is interesting and I like it, but I would never have bought the components, the upgraded ones, which I did, if I actually played the game first. I would have just been like, these normal components are fine and this game is fine, I'll play it a couple times. This kind of just sounds like a rant about not upgrading things. But the point is, you don't have to upgrade things. If you want to do it, do it. If you got the money, do it. If you don't want to do it or you don't have the money, these are pretty good too. Anyway, that's been my board game on a budget. BGOB? BGOB. All SYUL. SYUL. Why'd I put a U in there? All SYL. We're abbreviating everything now. TFW. HAGD. I'll never do that again.